I will try. So just to make sure, does everyone see the screen with the presentation?
Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, I see it. Right.
Sorry.
Shall we begin?
Yeah. If everyone is ready.
Welcome, everybody, and good day, respective researchers. Welcome to join this session, Exchanges in the Aspect of Intercultural Communication in Educational Activity and the Formation of Socio-Cultural Competence. And I'm so honored to be here to be the chair speaker today. My name is Yue Yanfeng, and Miss Elena Dimitrieva is the moderator today, and she's assisting everybody to present the PPT on Teams. And please make sure that you have sent your speech PPT to Miss Elena before the presentation. And it is an amazing opportunity to exchange results and experimental experiments between us. And today we are going to have the topics covering the significance of engaged pedagogy and the speech genre informing the discursive competence, and the introductory abstracts as a genre in art criticism, and a BCG analysis on China's international communication and education programs, and the psychological impact of intercultural communication in learning foreign languages during the pandemics, and FLT in IT environment. Chinese students shared mistakes in English pronunciation, and the neologism in English mass media texts. So everybody is going to have 10 minutes to present the individual research results, and followed by 5 minutes discussion between us. And I apologize in advance that I might remind you of the time limit at the 9th minute. And this is the method to make sure that every of us would get enough attention from all the participants. And thank you for your cooperation and consideration. And now let's begin. First, let's welcome Ms. Bettina Major, and to present us the engaged pedagogy strategies in higher education in experimental view. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So I'm an associate professor from the University of Carthage, the High Institute of Languages of Tunis. Today's talk is entitled Engaged Pedagogy Strategies in Higher Education. My focus will be mainly on, could you move on please to the second slide? So I will try to follow this order. Current situation in I put between parentheses Tunisian universities because it's a global phenomenon, a problem of employability and skills, educational reform, studying for a purpose, the humanities are the focus, then the project, its outcome, and the importance of collective intelligence and engaged pedagogy. So the current situation in all universities is this an old system. This is what students are complaining about, digital natives coming to us, and the globalization, and also working on the ranking system. Could you move on, please? So, and the problem of employability is all over the world, but also related to skills. There is an employment in experienced students, a lack for specific skills needed in the workplace. Maybe they are also complaining about more theory, less or no practice in classrooms. The diploma is not enough. Everybody can get a diploma, so there are other important skills for this competitive era. The need for new competencies, the need for an openness to the world, and of course, an inevitable change in pedagogy and an imposed pedagogy of change. In an article given to an electronic journal, Tunisian journal, entitled Business News, the vice president of the World Bank, and this article interpellated me, and I think that the idea of all this presentation came out of it, emphasized the importance of new technologies, artificial intelligence, startups, and creativity, and the importance in order to prepare the countries, the North African countries, for les emplois de demain, the jobs of tomorrow. It is very important to bet on the ambitions and aspirations of youth, which are assets for the future. At the core of it, this is a glimpse of the general situation. Let's dig into the core. Yes. Could you move on, please? Sorry. So the core of all this is studying for a purpose. And the big question is why and what for? What do you study? What are your aims, your aspirations, your ambitions, your expectations? Why do you learn this or that? How could you use what you're learning in the workplace? Another question, which is the question of the humanities. What for? The answer is always that readers are leaders, that culture is very important, that you have to read more in order to lead better and to develop critical thinking. But it's not enough as well. It's important to focus on learning to serve and serving to learn. Lucas Johnson from the United States, in an article entitled Rhetoric and Pedagogy in Deep South, who was one of our guests here in Tunisia, said as such means that when you learn to serve and serve to learn, students will not only gain a better understanding of civic issues such as education, economics, politics, gentrifications, urban development, but will also have the opportunity to create a dialogue around their community experience. And that's why service learning is a form of pedagogy that imposes itself now, and it provides structured opportunities for reflection. Let me move now to engaged learning at ISLT. My main focus will be on 3 courses or 3 big umbrellas. Could you move on, please, to the next slide? Intercultural communication, collaborative working strategies, literature, and I call this part culture and emotions. And the last one is event management and community service. Let me first focus on intercultural communication and collaborative working strategies. I'm teaching a course entitled, could you move on to the, this is the teaser of the course, if you can play it. I don't know if it is going to work. This is something that I designed in order to attract their attentions to join the course. Next slide, please. And in this course, I give lectures, but I also assign topics for research. And as you can see, that there are the names of students and the topics emerging from multiculturalism and colorblindness to cultures within cultures to literature across cultures. And the result is amazing. Let me share with you some of the report or research papers that they did together, they elaborated together. Next slide, please. For example, the first one is about storytelling and intercultural exchange, celebrations around the world, and intercultural communication for a better world. So they learned for a purpose. Literature, culture, and emotions, and that's another challenge as well, because literature should be conceptualized. So they designed a poster for their own presentations. There is creativity, exchange, and discovery, and some students even work on teasers. Can you share the teaser? The next slide, please. Okay, just click on it. It's a video, short, very short TikTok video designed by one, the middle, just the middle, the center of, yeah. Okay, this was done by one of my students for, okay, the adaptation of books to the screen, and she makes this.
Inside, the danger gets me high. Can't help
you drool when you sleep.
myself.
I want to follow. I hear about this.
Secrets I can't.
Okay, so move on, please. Sorry. And then another another course, which is event management and community service. The project is under the big umbrella, serve your community and prepare events. So could you move on, please? So within the framework of this reform that is imposed on us, upon us, whether by the ministry or also by this new generation that is coming to our universities, it was very important to widen the scope of research, being open to the environment and enhancing employability. But for that, it was compulsory to transcend the closed classroom space. So I advocated an interdisciplinary strategy and asked them to work on projects. I assigned projects per groups, and I picked up the groups and the topics, and the result was amazing. So it is meaningful learning. Can you share the next slide, please? Which is the first project, ISLT Flourish. It's an environmental project. Move on, please. There is this small video. Also, another project is about when there was this collapse of the next slide, please. The collapse of the Tunisian dinar, which is the Act Tunsi, how to help people or to compel people to consume Tunisian products. Can you move to the next slide and look at what they have done with the teaser of this project? Click on it, please. It's just, it can be the change. Stand up for your country. Started from this project that we started from 2018. Next slide, please. So, and this is InternMe also. They helped their friends to work on their CVs and to get recruited, and they brought companies to the university. Another project is ISLT Melting Pot. It means that they gathered people from different nationalities who are studying at ISLT and emphasized the importance of languages and cultural exchange. Can you move on, please? Okay, so as you can see, they design their posters, they work on media, the teasers, the logos, the sponsors, they go to radios, to television to promote for their events. Next slide, please. Sorry. So the result is engaged students and an everlasting learning. Huge events broadcasted all over the country, professional reports, because they should submit a report after every event of 100 pages, a teamwork, collaboration, collective intelligence in action, critical thinking, communication skills, a sense of initiative that is nurtured in them. There is no limit. It's a win-win strategy. And at the heart of all this is a professional experience. They work on sponsoring, on media, on dealing with the administration. So the iceberg, this is the big iceberg of language. What you see, what is seen, what is invisible, what is hidden behind all those implicitly inductive tacit knowledge that is inductively included in the learning process. Next slide, please. And all this comes from the one who initiated the idea of engaged pedagogy is Bell Hooks in her book Teaching to Transgress, and it is and she emphasizes the fact that we learn from students as much as they learn from us. Engaged pedagogy involving journeying with students as they progress in their lives beyond our classroom experience. In many ways, I continue to teach them as they become more capable of teaching me. The important lesson is that we can learn together. The lesson that allows us to move together with and beyond the classroom is one mutual engagement. Next slide, please. So here we witnessed, and this is what I went through, collective intelligence, shared knowledge, meaningful learning. They are assets for the making of a global citizen. We should emphasize the importance of humanities. We become aware of the changing role of the professor, the power of learning by doing, the need to develop a sense of belonging, nurturing that in them, and the enhanced community service and nurture responsible citizens. So the universities and the classrooms is the stage where they are prepared for the workplace. I'm using the word stage on purpose. Thank you for your attention. I hope that I respected the time. Move to the last slide because because I'm sharing. Okay, it's okay.
I'm so, I feel so mesmerized. I didn't care about the clock at all. Although I said I would
Thank you.
mindful of the time limitation, but actually I'm so absorbed in your speech, so I never look at the clock.
Thank you.
Anyone got questions? If you don't speak up, I got questions.
I have one.
Please.
Bustime, thank you for the presentation. Well, at the beginning of it, you said that modern students, right, complain, right, of the fact that they have to deal with digital technologies, that they have to study online, and they have to get adapted, right, to new challenges. Is it really so? Because in Russia, all students who I teach, they're really glad to be online and not to come to classes, right? They can just, well, use all kinds of technologies.
As well.
So again, well, I have no complaints. Only teachers complain, but not students.
Yeah. That the first in my first slide when I share the current situation in Tunisia, I said it's an old. This is what students complained about an old system, and we do. But also we are afraid, maybe I didn't put it in the right words, we are afraid, we should be afraid of these digital natives coming to us, but they are not complaining, they are enjoying it, though there is some resistance from students, but they are enjoying it. So we should, I don't know, I've shared the example of the TikTok being used by a student to design her own teaser for the course. I encourage them to go towards this, but it is us. I think that the resistance is more from teachers rather than
of course,
students.
right. So I see. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
And my question is, the investment of from the teacher into the courses would be doubled, tripled when we are doing the online and offline teaching together. And my question is, how first, what kind of majors are those students coming from?
English majors.
English major, linguistic students. They are language students only.
Language students, but what it means that we are a language university means that there are several languages, but I'm trying even to invite those from the Arabic department, from the Russian department, from other languages, and I'm trying to do the same with clubs at the university as well, because they should be engaged in their in the learning process as well.
Yes, that's amazing, because when I saw that the course name is event management, I thought it's student of management.
This is a master that we have here, and we have some students from RUDN universities who joined some of the courses in that master of communication. So event management is one of the courses where they learn communication and they put things into practice.
That's really provoking, because in China, English major students only do linguistic studies, and everything is the same when I was in my first degree 20 years ago. So actually we are just doing the literature things, English language and literature only, not get involved in the practical works.
There is one thing that I've removed from the first slide so that no one gets offended or shocked, is that empty classrooms. But I think that we might face this problem very soon in the future if we do not rethink the pedagogy, if we do not adjust our courses. Even when you teach literature, means that everybody has access to information, everything is online. So you should really offer them something different in order to track them and to have them in class, to motivate them to join. Otherwise, they have access to everything online. So the
things online are not really reliable, or saying cultivating to a person. Sometimes, even if every day there are some new terms being coined online in the social media, I even cannot read. Although it's in Chinese, I cannot understand what they're talking about. But actually, such kind of literature, say the online literatures or the online wordings, are not really useful for the academic environment or the professional environment.
You know, this is interesting, because what you're saying is frightening. This new generation of digital natives is coining new words, and they created a kind of coded familiarity between them that we feel sometimes that we are excluded from. So this is serious. We should take all this into consideration, I think.
And today we just got one person, one speech maker, really concentrate on this field. I'm so curious about everything. And thank you so much.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure.
All right. Next, we're going to move on next speaker, and then we're going to welcome Ms. Maria to give us a speech on the speech genre in the process of forming the discursive competence for protocol officer.
Hello.
Hello, Maria.
Is it possible if I demonstrate my screen by myself? Because it's
of course. Yeah, you're welcome.
Just let me know if you see my screen.
Yeah, we do see it.
Just a second. Okay, do you see the full version of the screen?
We do see it.
Okay, awesome, great. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maria Churganova, and I am a PhD student here at RUDN University Institute of Foreign Languages. And I'm very glad to see you, to hear you at our annual conference in order to discuss international communication and translation. And today my speech will be connected with solemn speech genre in the process of forming the discursive competence for protocol officer. And today I will rely on some previous research results. Then we will speak about solemn speech as one of the genres, and we will talk about characteristics in the example of Queen Elizabeth's solemn speech. As you probably know, protocol officers' activity is quite responsible and multifunctional, and specialist intercultural communicative competence includes translation component. Moreover, specialists works with oral and written genres of the diplomatic protocol discourse. If we talk about solemn speech itself, such speeches are pronounced at various of ceremonies. And here are some Russian researchers that deals with this kind of genres. And it is important to say that while analyzing, reading, and creating this kind of documents, I mean the speech, protocol officers can come across with various difficulties. And in order to overcome them, the specialist must be aware of some characteristics such as purpose, function, sender and recipient, structure, duration, and stylistic features. Because solemn speeches might have some necessary information, such as date and role of the event, target audience, memorable date, speaker's main message. On this slide, you can see characteristics analysis in the example of Queen's solemn speech. And the very first characteristic is the goal. It is very important to understand the goal itself. And here's the link if you want to watch this speech as a full version. So the goal is to inspire the UK citizens. At the very beginning, Queen Elizabeth relies on the COVID-19 consequences. We can see these in the quote of this speech. However, despite of the tragedy, she inspires people to hope and bright future, and we can also see this in the quote in some words and word combinations such as love, hope. The other characteristics is the function. The main function is to inform. The Queen draws on past and historical events in order to tell the citizens about the importance of specific dates and events, to encourage them to remember them. And the speech itself has a quite emotional character. So we also can see the example, the quote in the speech. So she reminds about International Nurses Day, about 2000th anniversary of the birth of Florence Nightingale, and others. The other characteristics is the sender and recipient. The sender is Queen Elizabeth II herself, and recipients are the citizens of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The duration is 7 minutes, which is not that long, but protocol officers should take his attention to the details during the speech. The other important characteristic is the structure. It includes introduction, the main part, and conclusion. If we talk about introduction, we can see lyrical digression at the very beginning, some expressions of gratitude. We can see this in such word combinations such as thank you and others. If we talk about the main part, we can say that it is devoted to some topics. For example, Queen Elizabeth speaks about Christian values, so we can see such words as Christ. Then she talks about family values, so we can see word combinations like friends and family members. And she relies on some past events that happened during the year and their results. And the last part is the conclusion of the solemn speech, where she talks about some optimistic moments, and she has a kind of optimistic attitude for the future. So we see what proves this is such word combination, such hope, the spirit of the selflessness, love, and others. And the last characteristics, which is also vital, is stylistic features, such as introductory constructions, part remarkably this year, and others, metaphor, comparison, quotes, lexical repetition, and many others. What is more important is that protocol officers might be aware of some difficulties in order to understand, in order to read various genres, especially the speech. So the solemn speech can be too informative, too much information. It can be unplanned. There might be some questions after. There might be some stylistic devices and expressive means. There might be plenty of new terms. The duration of the speech it can be short, or it can take much longer time. The structure can be uncleared. Sometimes politicians can use presentation, and the design can be, for example, very destructive. So it must be clear, logical, and proved. Then the other difficulty can be emotional elements, and last but not least, it might have some procession words. So if we come to conclusion, I would like to say that today we spoke about solemn speech as one of the genres that a protocol officer's works with. We talked about characteristics in the example of Queen Elizabeth solemn speech, and we talk about some difficulties that a specialist can come across with. If you want to learn more details about protocol officers himself, about his activity, about oral and written genres, you can learn more from the internet or from some of my articles. This is actually all what I wanted to say for today. If you have any questions, I would be glad to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Maria. And any questions, please?
This is actually a quite specific kind of topic, because maybe not everyone knows who is the protocol officer. I can just make kind of note. It is a person who organizes various events for high-ranking personalities, such as president, and in his activity, he has to work with some oral and written genres, and in order to write them, in order to read them, he needs a translation knowledge, which include his intercultural communicative competence. So it is very vital to practice translation knowledge, and in order to do so, it is very important to develop the methodology special for this kind of specialist. So this is the main idea.
And when I'm reading the abstract of yours, and I really sense the one thing that is, it's very difficult to achieve such a kind of confidence of discursiveness. And I think it's just because the person who's translating the solemn speech needs very specific cross-cultural knowledges. And cross-cultural is a very big concept. It doesn't tell us from which culture to which culture we are translating. So that's really different. And say when the translator, the interpreter is doing, the protocol officer is doing the translation of the solemn speech from the Queen of Great Britain, then it means he needs to understand at least some background cultural information, right?
Yes, I completely agree with you.
That's very difficult.
Yes, but he must understand some culture, some political moments, some economic moments, some psychological moments, right? I mean, the background, the topics. But the other important thing we have to be aware of is that protocol officer is not has not the same translation component as professional translator. It's not a bit, but it's different. Protocol officers has this component, I mean translation component, in order just to understand some main points, not the real translation, but some main points.
Okay, I understand that. Thank you, Maria.
I have one question, if you don't mind.
Yes, of course.
Maria, so you spoke about the solemn speech given by the Queen, right, Elizabeth II. Well, as a genre, right, as a speech genre, right. So can you compare it and maybe tell us about some differences, right, between the English variant? I mean, just the speech which gives the Queen, and for example, our Russian president, right? So every year, every year, right, on New Year's Eve, right, he gives, right, the same speech, I mean, the same genre, maybe some differences which you can just spot. Can you share that with us?
If we rely on the characteristics, I would say that they will be the same. I mean, the goal, the function, the center, and recipient, but there might be some just difficulties connected with duration and connected with some stylistic features. But the main function is the same: to congratulate citizens, to remind some about important events. So the main characteristics will be the same. The differences will be just the structure, I mean the plot of the speech itself, I would say this way.
Thank you.
And stylistic features as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now let's welcome the third speaker of today, and the topic of Ms. Elvira's topic is research is the introductory abstract as the specific genre in the art criticism discourse.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. My name is Makeva Maria. I'm doing my master degree at St. Petersburg State University, and I'm pursuing this research with Elvira Ivanovna, but unfortunately she's not with us today. She's not here, but I will tell you more about our research. Now I'm sharing my screen. Please tell me, can you see anything right now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So today I would like to talk about the introductory abstract. So we will continue our talk about genres. And I will talk about an introductory abstract as a specific genre in art criticism discourse, as a newly identified genre. So critical art discourse differs from other kinds of mass media discourse, and analyzing its nature, it's worth mentioning that this discourse represents a subjective interpretation of an art piece through verbal and non-verbal communication. Thus, it creates specific genres that are to be identified and described, and the introductory abstract is one of them. So determining the genre of a text can be very important. Due to its ambiguity, linguists view a genre differently, and there are no unified genre classification, especially within critical art discourse. As for its definition based on external criteria, a genre is a way to characterize a text. Due to the lack of one accepted genre classification and the fact that it is challenging to distinguish particular genres, this study helps to broaden the generic worldview. So that's why the objective of the paper is to identify in the texts of introductory abstracts a set of features that characterize this sort of discourse and confirms its status as an individual genre of a critical art discourse. As a result, we found the found patterns may be used in the practice of teaching English, academic writing in the sphere of art discourse, as well as teaching translation with a special bias to genre equivalence. So now we'd like to talk about the material for this research. Prefacing an introduction to critical art review or a critical article in an art magazine is not a universal editorial practice. This sort of a detached introductory abstract is typical for the Hermitage magazine, published in English and distributed in the UK, USA, Canada, Australia, Italy, Netherlands, and Japan, as well as in among the friends of the Hermitage. So this magazine stands apart from other art magazines and from museum magazines in particular, and thus it not only gives material for investigating the specific art criticism genre, but also serves as an example of consistent and creditable use of an introductory abstract not uniformly accepted. And the material for the research includes 30 abstracts, so different type of articles in volumes 26, 27, and 31 of the Hermitage magazine. And now I would like to talk about more. About our findings, and I will provide some examples. So belonging to the speech genre of an academic summary, it lacks most of its immanent formal and functional features, such as stating the aim of the following article, its empirical basis, structure, and results. Nor does it include a list of keywords. At the same time, it has common features with the academic abstract, such as being of small formats and having a cognitive connection with the annotated article. So let's talk about formal features. Positioned outside the body of the article, the abstract is very closely connected with the article's contents, never repeating any textual segment of the article. The abstract contains factive information, mostly corresponding to the title, being in the way a foreword to the article itself. The only obligatory criterion for identifying an introductory abstract of art discourse is its spatial separateness from the body of the main material. Often enclosed in a frame, as you can see on the slide, it occupies a place between the title and the article, outside alignment with them in any position on the page. The size of an abstract may vary depending on the topic, and the typeset and lettering always differ from the main text. It may include words in bold, as well as the use of different colors or underlying, which draws the reader's attention to an abstract fulfilling its role. Another type of formal inclusion in the subject matter is the incorporation of photos that may have varying functions, but in each case the text becomes polycode and syncretic in nature. An example of a straightforward connection is in the following example. The text of the abstract repeats the title and extends it with the information. The photo under it represents the sculpture of the great courtyard of the Hermitage. The next example shows an item where the subject of the paper is not evident from either the title, Rembrandt Bible stories, or from the abstract, and in this case, the final reproduction of the picture that you can see presents the main information focus. Then we will talk about linguistic means of cohesion. The linking line must run from the title to the abstract and finally to the opening sentences of the main text. The following article can aptly illustrate it. The main text begins with the underlined thematic definite article of the abstract, is prefacing the noun exhibition synonymous to collection, as well as Russian royalty specifying the adjective role from the title. They serve as cohesive links. And next we see that the article opening with one example is a direct logical and thematic continuation of the abstract. The final, but not least, structural components that I want to touch upon today. Apart from formal features, the analysis shows that the use of such defining components as personal and geographical names, numerals, art, technical terms, stereotyped expressions, and quotations may be used. In this regard, proper nouns are significant as they serve as a referent and a naming unit introducing incorporation of the text in the universal, cultural, historical, and global contexts. Among the most frequent proper names, there are names of artists, paintings, artworks, museum exhibitions, global names, and etc. And all of them function as a referent, thus reflecting their unique character and representing a cultural code or of implicit information. Here you can see some example of numerals. Abstracts in the art criticism discourse implement figures in order to supply a reader with additional information and facts that can be helpful while reading the annotated article. Therefore, abstracts may include various periods of historical background, and here, as you can see, Art Deco. They also include artistic trends and schools. The last one, emotive lexis. Emotive qualifiers, a feature not very characteristic of the genre, but still can be present in certain circumstances and contexts. For example, it's seen in this example, it has been a great pleasure, the world's major museums, the most important issues. So you can see emotive qualifiers thus also become a means of cohesion for the whole segment or a page of the magazine textual arrangement. When an article reviews some unusual idea, emotive lexis is often used. So let's summarize everything what we have just heard. The introductory abstract in art criticism discourse has its unique features that differ from ordinary formal academic summaries. And we identified and described its characteristics belonging to the group of minor or small format genres. An introductory abstract shares with them not only size characteristics, but also their double polycode nature, which combines formal layout, technical features, and linguistic, textual, cognitive, and lexical realization. And moreover, it can be characterized by its separateness and integrity. Being relatively flexible in its form and structure, it's more forward rather than an ordinary genre, and it constitutes part of the article and also part of the general layout, aesthetic, and cognitive structure of the magazine design. And at the end, I would like to say that it serves as a bridge between a reader and an art historian or art itself, having a formal and content-specific connection with the annotated article. I hope that my presentation was interesting, and thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Maureen. And your presentation is quite interesting, but for me, to be frank, I'm an outsider of art, so I'm a little bit lost for sometimes, and I'm so sorry. And I want to ask a very plain and sometimes maybe too silly question, but I just want to know, this kind of introductory abstract is going to be used in the art journal, the journal.
Yes.
Would it also be used on the brochure we are going to have when we are visiting the gallery or any exhibition?
Yes, but in this study, we focus on the abstracts that are found in in magazines.
In magazines.
And yes, and specifically museum magazines. So that's why they may maybe different from the ones that we can find in different brochures and other.
For me, I only got the experience to read the comments on the brochure. No, never got the time to get access to the real art journal. Anyway.
Maria, please, could you help me with the translation? Just so I'm lost. How do you
Yes.
translate into Russian introductory abstract?
Интродуктивная аннотация.
And
Annotations.
The second question, is it a feature, as you say, a unique feature only of art magazines? Can we find, I mean, this introductory abstracts in any other type of journals? I mean, specialized journals, for example, I don't know, technology and so on? Or it is a typical feature of art magazines?
That's very interesting because these particular features can be found only in art magazines, and they're really different from other abstracts, from academic ones or from technical, because as I have already said, there are lots of emotive lexes, and what's even more interesting, usually abstracts repeat, they summarize the context of the article, but in the case of magazines, of art magazines, they almost never do that because they introduce the reader, so the reader can understand if he wants to read or not, and to focus readers' attention on some particular facts. Maybe we don't know something, and the abstract serves as a foreword for the article, like an introduction.
But somehow it sounds very similar to other magazines. Just, well, for example, if I open, I don't know, The Economist, I will always see an introductory abstract, which actually somehow, either encourages, right, me to read it, or discourages from reading, right? So, well, okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And the next speaker is me. And my speech topic would be telling.
Can I start with the sharing of the demonstration? Sorry for interruption. Can I share the screen, right?
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Just a second. Just a second. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, I got it. Thank you very much. And my research topic is telling authentic Chinese stories, a BCG matrix analysis on China's international education programs. Next page, please. Thank you. Yes. On September 9th, 2021, a report, The Cost and Benefit from International Higher Education Students in the UK Economy, published by the UK and the HEPI, cooperated with the related released research result from London Economics. A shocking number is reviewed. Just 1 year of intakes of incoming international students is worth £28.8 billion to UK economy. Next page, please. And let's note that 2020 from the school year of 2020 to 2021 actually is a year every country is suffering from the pandemics, and in such a year they could get that income from higher education. That's amazing. And so the set number of the money stirred the anxieties among the higher education institutions in China. And for China's higher education system, there is a silent common sense that the higher education programs are not goods on shelves for students to choose. The nature of educational programs offer human development and individual fulfillment, not proper to be market well-designed promotional campaigns. Next page, please. However, being recognized as the ever-victorious campaign for the programs for PISA, held by OECD. PISA actually is the International Student Assessment Test held by OECD. China has realized that being one of the top educator of basic education means preparing high qualified international students to developing countries like UK. Next page, please. And the aim of this research is to examine the 4 major categories of international programs in China in higher education system, including the programs of Chinese taught medical degrees and the Chinese taught or English taught general degrees and Han language degrees, that means the Chinese language major, and of the Chinese cultural study tools, which with the analysis and of these above categories of international education programs based on the BCG metrics, the profitable market share and the market growth promises of each program are observed and examined. Next page, please. So on this page, this sentence actually is quoted from a letter that from Mr. Xi Jinping to the international students studying at Beijing University on the date of June 22, 2021. And here we could see the President Xi Jinping also encouraged international students in China to promote China's image back to their home. Next page, please. And in the following years, the world need to cope with the pandemic, and it's really a crucial task for China to adopt the communicative force of inbound international students to connect China and her people with the world through the authentic experiences of international students. Next page, please. As the figure shows, to compete with the developed countries for the source countries of international students, higher education institutions of China need to find out the most promising educational program and focus the promotional power on it. And then let me introduce the programs in higher education system in China for the international students to you. Next page, please. Presently, the conventional international programs in China are Zhong series programs and general degree teaching. And Zhong series means Zhong is the word presenting China and Chinese. And Zhongyi actually means the traditional Chinese medicine. Zhongwen means Chinese language. And Zhongwen teaching could be divided into 2 parts, the Chinese language major and also the short-term Chinese training. Next page, please. But if we categorize according to the duration of the programs, medical program and Chinese language program, degree education program or long-term programs, which maybe last 4 to 5 years. For traditional Chinese medicine, sometimes 9 years. While Chinese study tour programs is short-term. Next page, please. And this research examined the 4 types of higher education program with the BCG metrics, which is the business analysis method created by the Boston Consuming Group during the 1970s. And the method based its theory on the market share and the market promise of the products. Using a 4-box grade, BCG charts are divided 4 types of scenarios: cash cows, dogs, stars, and question mark. Next page, please. And the medical program, Chinese language major program, degree education program, and in Chinese study tour program fit in the BCG grade and showing results as follows. Next page, please. So we could see in this grade, I just briefly show the results in the year of 2017, 2018, and 19. The degree education program holds the majority number of the inbound college students, taking 55%, 52%, and 57% of the total inbound student number, respectively. Sorry. Hence, the degree education in universities fits the box of cash cow. And among the top 100 universities recruiting international students, 31 of them are the medical schools. Hence, medical education could be fixed in the box of question marks. It might be profitable, but the market growth ability is questioned. And the third category would be the Chinese language major program. For this program, I put it into the dog grade, the grade of dog. That's because in 2018, Chinese government has stopped the application for newly constructing major construction in any university in the major of Chinese language. That means the number of Chinese language program students would be decreasing if they want to gain the degree. And also, with a degree of Chinese language major, somehow people narrow down their choices of future career. So the short-term study tour are not counted in the quoted figures from the Education Ministry of China. Next page, please. As a STAR program, the cultural experiencing study tours requires no approval from the central government, which means individual university has the full authority to issue inbound invitation to overseas participants and could design featured short-term program. I show these two pictures just to read up an example of the university I'm working in. I work in University of Science and Technology Liaoning, which is located in Anshan, a southeastern city in China. The climate of Anshan is similar to Moscow, but warmer, but still very cold in winter. So here we got conventionally we got summer camp as the short-term language training program, and the only market of us is Russia. In winter, you cannot attract Russian students to visit China just to enjoy northern China, to enjoy the snow and ice. And during the winter time, our campus is vacant without any visitor. So it is suggested USTL, the university I ever worked in, should make a slogan in Australia in October and November. That is, let's have a white Christmas and exploring Kung Fu. Australians are keen in experiencing ice and snow. Skiing, skating, and hot springs in open winter air are the fancy ideas of their winter dreams. So for years, Japan has been the dream destination for Christmas of New Year holiday for Australians. However, Chinese language and Chinese cultural symbols as Kung Fu maybe add some extra value to the ice snow study tour to China. Next page, please. In conclusion, inbound study tours serves as a type of dynamic international education program, which would take the biggest share of the market and hold the most promising market growth rate. It's recommended that to develop study tour programs, featured culture and natural resources should be closely examined and evaluated. Contents of study tours vary from season to season, from market to market. And finally, let me present you one picture from my hometown. That is taken a week ago, and my city, Anshan, just welcomed her first snow in this winter. And you could see after the heavy snow, someone is walking on the skiing board. And I use this picture and saying, walking in Anshan way. That is, when trying to promote a city, we need to consider the local features to attract some specific, visitors, promising visitors from some specific target market. That is to walking in one city's own way. Okay, finally, next page, please. Thank you for your listening, and questions are welcomed.
Thank you very much for your presentation. It was really interesting. So especially to know that you have more snow than we do in Russia right now, right?
Only this year, only this year.
Yeah, so I have one question. Actually, I have two questions, if you don't mind. The first one is the following. On one of your slides at the beginning of presentation, I saw that in China, you have some English taught degrees. So are they popular, and just what are the advantages if you take a degree in English or if you take a degree in Chinese?
Chinese is a language very difficult to learn. It's quite different from any language in the world. And actually, any other languages are coming from the sound, right? We got the letters, but for China, it's for foreigners, it's Chinese characters, just like pictures. You need to remember every picture for every single meaning. That is too difficult. And so at the beginning of 2012, it starts from 2012. In 2012, Chinese government began to promote the overseas students and to promote China as a destination of international students. But actually, during that time, Chinese government is offering scholarship for foreign students only if you study with Chinese. But that means you are limited the population of students coming to China, right? So that's why from 2003 and 2014 and 13, I was transferred from Chinese language study school to international school. That means I'm going to teach international students, and I'm helping my boss to redoing all the cultivation plan, and we just convert the Chinese students' cultivation plan into the English one, but it cannot be 100% copied, because for Chinese students we need to learn politics. Chinese histories, but for foreigners, no need to do that. Meanwhile, they are required to pick up some language of Chinese. Since you come to China, definitely we want you to love China, to know China at least. So that's why such kind of English programs were offered to attract more students.
And the second question, so you were speaking about 2 programs, right? And is it really easy to implement them right now when we face all these restrictions, traveling restrictions, I mean, due to the pandemic, right? So we can't actually move as freely as we used to do?
Nowadays, no way.
No, I see right now. No.
I've been teaching my students online for, this is the 4th semester. Totally, I'm teaching online. So I even voluntarily open a selective courses for Chinese students on campus just to experience the classroom. I miss the classroom so much.
Yeah, I see. And we have one more question. Maybe I may mispronounce the name. Ma Zi. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just.
Yeah.
Hello.
Speak. I speak very much. But I have a question. What's the major difficulty in promoting China as a study cultural destination?
To promote China thank you for your question. To promote China as a destination of, degree study, the first important question is how to change the image of China overseas. That's very difficult. So that's why I want to do the research as, ask students nowadays in China to promote Chinese image overseas, and then attract more study tour students. It's easier to decide a study tour instead of to study for degree, right? So that's why the first thing I think Chinese professional teachers need to do is to find some way to change all the scholars in the field of social studies. We need to know how to find a way to promote the real image of China.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And sorry, I'm using too much time. I'm waiting for someone to tell me the time limitation. All right. Now let's welcome our next speaker and the group formed by Sophia, Yana, and Yana. And their topic is the role of the psychological aspects of intercultural communication in the process of learning foreign languages during the pandemic. Thank you.
Good afternoon. We are waiting for Yana to join right now. I want to, so she's the one responsible for the presentation.
So do you see the presentation?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay.
Okay, so good afternoon, dear members of the Commission and those present. My name is Sofia Sirenko.
And my name is Yana.
And we are students of Institute of Foreign Languages of People's Friendship University of Russia. And we would like to represent our research that is called The Role of Psychological Aspects of Intercultural Communication in the Process of Learning Foreign Languages During the Pandemic.
The relevance and choice of the research topic are determined by the COVID-19 pandemic, as it has been changing and destroying the usual educational process for students and teachers for 2 years now. As Sophia and I are studying linguistics, we are concerned about the level of influence of this process on foreign languages.
So the object of our research is intercultural communication in teaching foreign languages, and the subject is the COVID-19 effects on the components of psychological aspects of intercultural communication in learning foreign languages.
To achieve this goal, we have studied the components of psychological aspect of intercultural communication, revealed the amount of impact pandemic has on the process of learning foreign language, and settled the level of interrelation between intercultural communication and the educational process.
After analyzing the literature on the topic, we can assert that it is significant for people to have an opportunity to communicate face-to-face, and there are factors that form successful communication. You can now see them on the screen, which mostly require in-personal contact with the opponent. Spatial proximity accompanies the duration of people's interaction. Education itself is a peculiar form of communication. Consequently, it has the same roots to success. Due to a pandemic, it's almost impossible to communicate with native speakers, which affects learning foreign languages. The level of interrelation between intercultural communication and learning foreign languages is relatively high, because solving the urgent task of teaching foreign languages as a means of communication between representatives of different people and cultures is that languages should be studied in inseparable unity with the culture of countries and people speaking these languages.
Furthermore, we carried out the research among students of People's Friendship University of Russia, asking them whether they frequently experience stereotypical mindset towards countries and mentality of their representatives. The survey has shown that 82.6% of polled have heard unpleasant stereotypes about their nationality. Moreover, 57.8% believe that the pandemic made the situation worse.
In the process of communication between representatives of different cultures, stereotypical representations occupy a significant place. Thus, closing borders between states prevents the study of the languages and culture of other countries and contributes to an increase in the number of stereotypes, which has a bad effect on the intercultural communication and attitude towards other nations.
The COVID-19 had a tremendous impact on every sphere of life, and education is not an exception. It brought many serious alterations into the system in general, resulting in students and teachers all over the globe being forced to face a completely new way of possessing knowledge, such as distant learning. Thus, the process of learning foreign languages was seriously influenced by current situation. Consequently, many issues had arisen, such as unequal technical capabilities, troubles with energy and knowledge exchange, etc. Moreover, problem of intercultural communication became acute, as with the closure of the borders, it became no longer possible for students to get to know each other cultures and their representatives.
Aforementioned peculiarities definitely afflicted education in general and language acquisition in particular by putting a so-called barrier between different cultural zones. Thus, it is required that we try our hardest to find as many solutions as possible to overcome these difficulties and make education fruitful even in such unpredictable conditions.
So studying the components of psychological aspects of intercultural communication in the process of learning foreign languages during the global pandemic, it resulted in the conclusion that learners all over the globe are now forced to adapt to constantly changing system of learning, which is completely different from what we used to have before the COVID-19 breakout, as it mainly focuses on systematization rather than on in-person communication. And now it requires more efforts than ever to choose the right strategies and principles while interacting with the representatives of different cultures, which implies both students and teachers need the essential knowledge of psychological aspect of intercultural communication, so that the foreign language acquisition retains on a decent level.
So that's all. Thank you so much for your attention.
And we are welcome to hear your questions.
Thank you so much. So, may I read the question? All right. My question is, what is the determination of the real influence on people's perception in the dialogues of cross-cultural dialogues? Do you find in your research?
Could you please repeat the question?
Oh, sorry.
I had some problems with connection.
I just picked up some words from the abstract, and I just wanted to illustrate more on these abstracts. What's the determination of the real influence on the way people perceive the dialogue between cultures during this pandemic time?
Well, I believe that the real determination is that now it's much harder to perceive cultures without this pandemical, effect, as the borders are mostly closed and we have no option to see the real representatives, to ask them, to communicate with them, and so that it got worse in a way. So it's now much harder to get an inside look into someone's culture. So I believe now, due to the pandemic, the intercultural communication is altered very obviously, or it's obviously very altered. I believe that answered the question.
And now, everything we saw on social media, actually, or online, even the teaching material from teachers, the teaching videos are actually tailored, right? We must manage it and tailor it. But nowadays, it's really hard to tell which one is authentic, which one is not authentic. So, yes, it's very difficult. Any more questions?
Yeah, if I may, right? Dear presenters, I have one question. Just while you mostly spoke about the negative effect, right, the pandemic had on intercultural communication, just on online learning, and so on. Maybe some positive aspects. So, can we benefit from this format? But actually, as well. 3 years ago, I couldn't imagine the situation when I participate in a conference with a lot of foreigners, a lot of people from other countries. Usually, as far as I remember, we had, I don't know, 1, maybe 2 representatives who managed, right, to come to Russia and give a presentation. But now I think the borders have disappeared.
Yeah, thank you for your question. I think that the most important benefit is that we can learn new ways of studying and learning, and it is easier for foreign students to communicate with somebody else because we have like Microsoft Teams, Zoom, Skype, and other applications, and they really help to communicate without any barriers. Even though you have no opportunity to go somewhere else, you just can download an application, and that's all.
Yeah, that's the point, right? So I think just we may have benefited from it as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think we have no more questions. We can
No more
go.
questions.
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you for your questions.
And now we're going to welcome Mr. Ma Jiaqi and Ms. Tana to talk about the study of foreign language foreign language teaching in the information technology environment. Oh, and also you are welcomed to deliver this speech either in Russian or in English. Any language is okay.
Thank you.
So will you share the presentation yourselves or do you need any assistance? Вы сами покажете презентацию или мне ее показать?
Вы покажите, пожалуйста.
Хорошо, сейчас тогда секундочку, подождите, я в нее открою. Here it is. Да, вот она. Сейчас, секундочку. Вы ее видите?
Да.
Пожалуйста, начинайте.
Хорошо. Hello, everyone. This paper wrote I and my classmates we study in People's Friendship University of Russia. We are honored to participate in this conference. This is our first paper. Our title is Study of Foreign Language Teaching in the Information Technology Environment as a part of development of education. Since today, information technology in education is unavoidable and it brings about changes to concept, methods, and mode of education. At the same time, research on information technology and the teaching of the foreign language is also developing rapidly in China. In the current state of research on foreign language teaching, the study of foreign language teaching as it relates to information technology, it also becoming a key focus, using information technology as a means of integrating foreign language teaching in China. This article analyzes the development of language instruction in these countries. Next one, please. In this paper, we will compare the advantages and disadvantages as well as the development trend of foreign language distance education in China according to the current situation of foreign language education. In this way, the objective of making rational use of excellent online information in this way, the objective of making rational of the excellent online information and education resource of China is excellent complex talents with comprehensive language skills for the benefit of society and to meet diverse social needs. Digital language is an inevitable trend in development of information technologies and the progress of the time and the future goal of the reform FLT. It's foreign language teaching technologies by using mobile terminals, diversified information source, diversified classroom teaching, and diversified communication. FLT is made more attractive for new thinking and new developments. In order to support the development of digital learning, platforms and technology must be implemented. as well as the development of digital learning research and models, as well as the development of digital learning standards for students in order to achieve real innovation. Digital system for teaching foreign language must be created and improved. With regard to the experience of Changchun University, the foreign language department of Changchun University each have 1,400 students and use distant learning technology. This paper summarizes the disadvantages and advantages of distance foreign language teaching in China University through a comparative analysis of distance foreign language education so that the advantages can be adopted to achieve the integration of foreign language teaching with model information technology in higher education and to develop new teaching methods. The proposed way to using education research and model digital technology to improve the quality of foreign language teaching. Our purpose of study is to identify the advantages and disadvantages of distance education in context of information technology and the new innovations and revolutions in teaching methods brought about by distance education as a conclusion. Thank you. Our method is systematic review. Systematic review is a research method and a process used to identify and evaluate relevant studies and to collect and analyze data gathered from them. To rebound a particular research question, a systematic review identifies empirical studies and meet criteria for inclusion. From the experience and results, the extensive online teaching in Chengdu University, the author of article draws the following conclusions. Advantages has opinions openness not restricted by geography, autonomy and internet of learning. The connect of teaching is optimist. Disadvantage have students not have enough self-control. Poor people students interaction effect on the body. Technology used the teaching of foreign language plays a large role in how effect in courses by effectively use education technology in foreign language teaching. Students are more likely to be interested in language and achieve high levels of knowledge, skills, and ability in language. For free education to be successful, creative thinking, method research, and problem solving. Innovation ways of distance education in information technology have next one. Innovation in listening teaching in distance foreign language learning, innovations in the teaching of speaking, innovation in reading instruction, and innovations in teaching of writing in distance learning. The use of mobile technology in foreign language teaching provides a rich, flexible, convenient, and efficient learning environment for foreign language learning at a distance due to their inherent characters. Mobile learning device and foreign language teaching are naturally linked. Mobile device enable learners to learn in a variety of environment without being constrained by time or space, with means they can choose a mobile learning mode that suits their needs and can make full use of time to reinforce the particular and repetitive nature of their foreign language learning. Using mobile device correctly can enable us to achieve twice the results with half the effort thanks to growing us to mobile internet and weakening communication technology in foreign language education and learning. Thank you. It's our report. И все, спасибо.
Спасибо.
Thank you for your sharing, Tana. And may I ask a question? My question is, would this online learning give students a feeling of extra burden? If so, how can the teachers avoid such kind of negative feeling in their online learning experience of the students? Thank you.
Спасибо за ваш интересный вопрос. Извините, for English, but because I speak in Russian.
It's okay. It's okay. Oh, I have Elena.
Окей, говорите на русском, я переведу.
Для противодействия негативному влиянию дистанционного образования на студентов мы предложим два варианта с целью решения. Первый вариант – это рационализировать время, затрачиваемое на дистанционное образование. А второй вариант – это в ходе дистанционного образования мы можем увеличить разнообразие форматов занятий. Например, в процессе изучения иностранного языка можно провести занятия по озвучению фильма на иностранном языке. Или можно провести игровые сеансы прослушивания английских песен и угадывания их названия. Это позволит повысить мотивацию студентов к обучению в процессе дистанционного обучения и тем самым устранить негативные последствия онлайн-обучения. Все, спасибо.
Well, actually, there are two ways to minimize the negative impact of online learning, of this format. The first way is the following. So we have to teach our students to optimize and to approach their time management skills and to make them better and more rational. The second approach is the second solution to this problem is the following. We can diversify different methods of teaching online. First of all, we can watch video films which will help students to improve their language skills. The second variant is to play online games, different educational games, which again may help them develop and improve their skills. And all in all, to optimize the teaching process.
Спасибо за перевод.
Ребят, у нас еще один вопрос. Буthimia, you have a question?
Yes, thank you for this very insightful presentation, and the exchange is very interesting, learning from other cultures and other universities. And I think that this is a global situation. You mentioned something interesting. You said that there is a problem of discipline as to online learning, which is, but don't you think that it reflects even a face-to-face situation? It's the same thing. Those who are serious in face-to-face situation are going to be serious online. Means that I think that it offers more opportunities, and in terms of developing autonomous, even those who were not serious, maybe in a face-to-face situation, would become more autonomous when it comes to handling their own learning.
Вопрос заключается в следующем. Вы затронули в вашей презентации очень важный момент. Вы сказали, что онлайн-обучение влияет на самодисциплину студентов. То есть студенты не могут правильно организовать свое время, ответственно относиться к обучению, вовремя подключаться к конференции и так далее. Не считаете ли вы, что это в принципе общие проблемы психологического общения? То есть даже если мы занимаемся не онлайн, Да? Если мы занимаемся лично, то все равно студенты, которые не дисциплинированы, студенты, у которых совершенно плохо с управлением временем, они будут опаздывать, они будут безответственно относиться. И, соответственно, если человек дисциплинированный, то неважно, как он занимается онлайн, либо вживую, либо in person, все равно у него будут как бы хорошие навыки организации времени и учебного процесса. То есть это, в принципе, глобальная проблема, не только связанная с переходом на онлайн-обучение.
Да,
как вы считаете?
Но я считаю, по ходу ситуации распространения коронавируса, конечно, сейчас все обучение переходит на дистанционные, но и по вашим словам тоже это точно. Но по-моему, в рамках дистанционного образования эти вопросы еще острее.
Понятно, спасибо. Well, actually, we agree with your point of view that some people are by nature self-disciplined and some people are lazy. But actually, when we have to study online, this problem becomes more acute, right? Just well, actually, these characteristics of people, even though they are maybe by nature disciplined, they have more inclination, right, to become less disciplined because this format encourages the development of these features. But of course, right, it depends on the person. Спасибо. У нас, по-моему, больше нет вопросов. We have no more questions, I think.
Спасибо за внимание. Thank you for listening.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And next, we're going to have our speaker, Margarita, and the presentation topic is typical mistakes made by students from China while mastering English pronunciation. Are you with us, Margarita?
No, I can't see her, actually.
Okay.
Maybe we should move to the next speaker and she will join us a bit later. Well, I can't see her from among the people who are present.
Yes, please. So next group, are you with us? The group of Angelica, Arina, and Maxim.
Just a second, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, we have someone.
Would you please make this presentation?
Would you please show my presentation and I will just speak.
Okay, just a second. So I will have to show it, okay?
Thank you.
Can you see it?
Sure.
Okay, so then you can start.
So good afternoon, dear conference participants. I am Alina Silantьeva, a first-year student at the Institute of Foreign Languages, and I'm pleased to welcome you all. So today I would like to represent my research on the subject of the structural and semantic peculiarities of neologisms used in modern English mass media texts. So as you know, the English language, as many other languages in the world, is developing and changing due to the processes taking place in economic, social, political, cultural, and scientific life. And these changes occur in different spheres, such as grammar, pronunciation, and mainly in vocabulary, as words are represented as building blocks of communication process. So the words which have recently appeared in any language are called neologisms. At present, the English lexicon is increasing by nearly 800 new words annually. So the scholars find that it is necessary to study and analyze new words. There are two ways in linguistic researching of neologisms. And the first one is to study the neologisms as new words used in everyday speech. And the second one is to analysis and description of neologisms in different kinds of texts. And we have chosen the second way. Nowadays, we find many neologisms in mass media texts, and in our paper, we decided to examine mass media neologisms which are formed untraditionally. So the next slide, please. Neology is a branch of science was created by French linguistic.
I'm sorry for interruption. Can you see the new slide? Because actually on my screen I have the first one.
I can see introduction.
Yeah, I also. Here it is. Okay, sorry. Is it the second slide? Yeah. Is it the slide which we need? Objectives and purpose of the study, right? Okay. Sorry for interruption.
Neology as a branch of science was created by a French linguistic school, and having worked out the theory of neology, the French linguists achieved a great success. Later, linguists all over the world began studying new words. They called them neologisms. But we must emphasize that despite many findings in neology, there is no clear definition of what neologism is, because there are many criteria for defining neologism. And there are a lot of views about the definition of the word neologism, but we have chosen the most comprehensible in our opinion. So, according to Oxford Dictionary of English, a neologism is a newly coined word or expression that may be in process of entering common use, but has not yet been accepted into mainstream language. So, one of the problems is the process of neologisms formation. As linguist states, there are many methods for forming new words, such as affixation, compounding, shortening, abbreviation, blending, and others. So the objectives and purpose. The purpose of our research is to find neologisms in mass media texts and to describe its structural and semantic peculiarities. The objectives of our research are to examine affixation as the popular method of forming neologisms in newspaper articles, to give examples of compounding in mass media neologisms, and to describe the new method of forming neologisms called blending. Next slide, please. Examining neologism in newspaper articles, we use the method of linguistic analysis, the descriptive method, and the method of competential analysis. And our article is divided into three parts. The first is affixation as the most productive model of forming neologisms, compounding, and blending as an unusual method of forming neologisms. Next slide, please. So the first is affixation. In mass media texts, the reporters are using new words, adding such suffixes and prefixes, which were not used before. Next slide, please. You can see them on the screen. They are soul, nick, echo, for example, eco-friendly, and others. But we would like to pay attention to the suffix wide, which we find in some publications. For example, you can see the example on the screen. Industry-wide, this neologism is used in economic publications. We must notice that meaning of some word formative prefixes, anti, super, counter changed. A few decades ago, the suffix anti meant acting against or opposing something. Now it has another two meanings, consisting of antimatter and concerning artificial art, for example, anti-hero. The next slide, please. Compounding. It is the most productive model of word formation process in English, and the authors often use it in their publications. In mass media text, one can find the vast majority of compounds derived from the syntactical structures. For example, know-how. It's a knowledge, practical ability, or skill to do something. And we have found the following compounding new words: dos and don'ts, it means the rules. Hit and miss, it means done in a way that is not planned or organized. And do it yourself. It's an activity of making something by yourself. Next slide, please. Another method of new word formation is blending. Blending has often been described as a rather irregular phenomenon, but we find a surprising degree of its regularity in mass media texts of the 21st century. So let us examine some neologisms formed by blending. First is frenemy. Frenemy is a friend who acts like an enemy, and it consists of two words, friend and enemy. Netizen, it consists of internet and citizen. The word can be interpreted as a citizen of internet, a person who spends much time in the internet. Netspeak, it's internet and speak. It is synonym of the word to talk and to chat. Netspeak is a slang, and it is used as a rule by young people. Husband, it is a neologism, means a woman's husband. This term consists of the verb to be in past simple form and the noun husband. You can see the examples on the screen. Next slide, please. Yes, and next slide again. Thank you. Having analyzed the principles of blending in mass media text, we established the following rules. One or more letters of one word is inserted into another one, like frenemy. The last parts of both words are combined, like netizen, and the second part of one word and the whole word are combined together, for example, netspeak. And the whole word and the second part of the word are combined together, for example, husband. Next slide, please. So in our article, we have examined some methods of forming neologisms and described their structure and semantics. Having studied the process of affixation in English, we saw that many new suffixes and prefixes appeared in English due to mass media texts. Neologisms appeared in newspaper articles by compounding, and they are very expressive and emotional. And nowadays, blending is the most frequent method of the new words formation in mass media texts. So we concluded that mass media is not only the source of information, that's also the storage of words where the neologisms take certain place. And if a word wants to stay alive, it has to be admitted widely in mass media texts by authors. So of the many thousands of new words created every year, the most neologisms have been appeared at the pages of newspapers and magazines. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your attention, and I'm ready to answer your questions.
Okay.
May I ask one?
Please.
Yes, please.
First of all, I want to say thank you for your presentation. And my question is, for example, we have found a new word that we don't have in Russian. And what methods should we use to translate it to Russian if we don't have this term on our in our language? For example, we read a mass media article and we found something new. How to translate it? Thank you for your...
How to translate it into Russian?
Yes, if we don't have this term in Russian.
So there are a lot of words in Russian, neologisms too. For example, eco-friendly. It's a neologism, and we can translate it by compounding two words in Russian, like дружелюбный к окружающей среде, то есть пытающийся сохранить окружающую среду. We translate it into Russian by compounding two words in Russian.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, may I raise? Sorry.
So yeah, I think just we have some problems, right, with the sound in the background, right?
Yes, I'm so sorry for the noise.
Yeah, it's okay. I have one question. So you show some quotes or quotations from the newspapers. Some of them were dated, I don't know, 10 years ago, right? 2008. Well, I have a technical problem. How did you manage to access them?
In the internet.
On the internet.
About, yes.
And so can we say that the word which was coined in 2008, it is a neologism?
Yes,
because just
no,
almost
we use them until now. They are actual now. So, for example, next speak, it is a really popular word in the internet, or antibacterial. Now it is really actual
yeah,
because
it's very popular, but is it a neologism?
Yes, it is a neologism because it is formed with the two words. It's a neologism.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
Sorry, I have a question. May I?
Yes, of course.
One thing I sensed in the coining of the new words in social medias nowadays, that is the validity of the word. Many words are just coming in China. Many words just coming from a social news. Maybe after reading that news, young people online are just exchanging their ideas. And once I encountered a problem with my students, and they're always talking about, I want to earn lots of W. And I just asked, what's W? Because if it's the short term for money, it should be M. and after that, they told me that is the Chinese character 10,000 is beginning with the letter W. 1 means 10,000. I want to earn lots of W also means I want to earn tens of dollars or any money. But in this way, I'm now just after 3 months or 4 months, my students stop using this term anymore. There are other popular ways to talk about money. And then in this way, do you think it's valuable to study the new words in social media? Because the validity is not reliable. Some of them are just coming from a news, and after that, it's not that heated anymore. So that's my question.
Yeah, just like I said, if a word wants to stay alive in our speech, in our everyday speech, it has to be widely accepted in mass media texts, in our speech. And if this word is needed in our speech and it makes our speech comprehensible, more like simple, it stays alive. But if this word is not really needed in our speech, and if we can speak without it simply, it will not stay for a long time.
So in your research, you are going to use the examples of some words might be valid or say exist for a relatively longer period of time? Say,
yes, my examples, they exist for a long time. That's why I learned it, because they are really popular in our speech.
And somehow it's steady in the language already, right? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
I think no, we have none. And still we don't have Margarita.
Oh, okay, so should we wait for her or can we present for her?
Or shall we call it a day? Okay, I just don't know. She's not here. Okay. Just a second.
Okay, meanwhile, may I just personally, I'm really interested in the research of Miss Maju. And Miss Maju, are you with us?
Yes, I'm still
Please
here.
come back to us.
And Maybe I would like to invite you to come to Tunisia. As I said, there is the Center Confucius here. So there is an opportunity for me to learn some Chinese and I should start learning some Russian. Thank you for the translation.
Sorry, I just want to raise up another question. I'm really curious about your research and back to your way in doing the engaged pedagogy. That means to learn from doing, right? Learning from doing.
Learning by doing. Yes.
Yeah, learning by doing. And to do that, would it be? I'm wondering about the study hours. How to count the study hours? As one lesson, there should be, sorry, compulsory study hours. Then how would you divide it? Would it be counted into the study hours, or it's just a, say, free work, volunteer work from teachers?
It's always volunteer work, but I think that our teaching is changing as much as learning is changing. It means that we devote more time, but it's hardly needed. I don't know if I'm looking at my children, for example, and that's where I find my examples, and I try to understand what is going on, because there are those drug dealers everywhere. So it's important that we bring them to the university and create that sense of belonging, so that they are more creative. I know in my time, 25 years ago, when I was a student, I remember that we spent the whole day at the university between clubs and library and learning, means in classroom, which is not the case anymore with this new generation, always on their computers, with their phones in their hands, Facebook, Twitter, and all the social media stuff. So I think that it's worth it if we do some volunteering and we give more time. But as to the event management, what I'm doing is that in my class means that I have 3 hours. It's a course of 3 hours. So 3 hours, there are, I think, 5 or 6 first sessions that are devoted to preparing them for the events, and then there will come the 7 weeks of events, and then a post-event, and we discuss together what worked well, what we have done so far, and the outcome of their events, because there should be something behind every event organized. Same for literature classes. It's important that, I don't know if you're facing the same problem in your universities, but it is very difficult to ask someone to read 800 pages book by Paul Auster, for example. So it's important that we think our pedagogy and we involve them. It is through what I'm doing is through those posters and teasers and TikTok. I'm using these tools to attract them, because if I ask them to read a book, they are not going to do it. Whereas if they come for a show to watch their friend doing it, or if they read it for a purpose because there is something interesting they might go and grasp in that book, they will for sure do it. And it's working. It's working. So the problem is us. I always blame it on the teacher. We should speak their languages. It's exactly as we do with our kids. We should talk to them in the language they understand. We should enter that world, that bubble of quoted familiarity, that language of internet that we're facing nowadays.
But really, sometimes I feel a little bit, nervous to talk to young people, because sometimes I want to get closer and they try to teach me some of the words, but I'm hesitant when imitating them and repeating the words, because I don't know what that doesn't mean.
We get old.
I'm afraid I'm saying something not that proper for me. Sorry.
Yeah, well, actually, you mentioned a very important issue, right? So, well, now it is really hard to make students concentrate, right? Just focus on something. They can't read big texts, right? They can't analyze this information. They are always distracted. Just, well, for example, they just start a sentence that by the end of the sentence, they think about a different thing. Just, well, they look into the smartphone, I don't know, whatever. And again, it's not only the problem of teenagers, but even, well, as I teach students who are adults almost, right? So again, they cannot concentrate. Just to gain their attention and to keep it for a long time, it's a big deal, a big problem, right? So just we have to use all the tricks with as we do with little children, right? Because just
I think that this problem also, I don't know if you have the same impression I have. They don't have a childhood. They are adults born. And that's the problem, because I feel it now, for example, when this problem of focusing, I'm working on I'm going through Tony Buzan's research, and I've discovered that using mind mapping in classroom could be very interesting. They want to play. They want to play. They want to regain that lost childhood that they had because of the use of technology. So if you ask them to draw, for example, last time I wanted them to read a book written by an Indian writer, and it was almost impossible to attract them. So I worked on the Rangoli in class. Okay, I brought some colored sand and I asked them, let's do some Rangoli and then read about Indian mythology to understand how to link them. So they want to play. It's very important that we engage them. And so it is a win-win situation where I learn their language. I learn from them this new technology that is very theirs. And I try to, I feel that I will not become jobless very soon. I have a role to play.
Yes, in this pandemic time. So
thank you very much for sharing your experience.
May I ask one more question? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I love your program. The whole courses you are holding is so amazing. That is, nowadays in China, we are trying to do one thing, to create a cultivation plan called New Arts and New Science and New Engineering. That is, my generation totally were raised up. We were separated during the second year of our high school, and we were separated into art classes and science classes. And then when we are applying to the entrance examination of universities, as an art student, what I can choose is really limited. I cannot choose engineering anymore. I cannot regret. I want to be a doctor. No, you cannot. And nowadays, people are using the population, the young population. The birth rate is really low. So nowadays, Chinese government want to redirect that education direction onto the way of new arts, new science. The new engineering actually is connecting every subject or every disciplines together, connecting it. So the problem is, for me, I'm working in a university majoring in engineering studies, all engineering studies. So college English is one of the most important basic shared, the general shared basic subject, but they hate it. They hate college English, but without English, you cannot communicate. And in the past 20 years, the graduate from English language major, their employment rate, I mean, if you graduate from a language major and you are supposed to be a translator, an interpreter, right, to do a related job. So if we counted the graduates' employment rate in that way, the rate is 0 for 20 years.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm terribly sorry. We have one more presenter.
Please.
Sorry.
Sorry, so sorry. I didn't resolve the question. Anyway, let's welcome.
If I may just say
just
say one thing, because the interdisciplinarity is very important. Next Friday, I'm organizing with a friend of mine online. You can follow us. I'm going to type the link, a conference on liberal arts, and these topics are going to be discussed. So join us.
I will email you.
I shared this. I shared this in the chat. Sorry for interrupting, and thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to introduce my article, my research. So my research concerns SWOT analysis of PR students, disciplines, programs on the case of study base. So in our presentation, I'll briefly outline the key theoretical points and then proceed to the presentation of our findings. As you know, globalization and digitalization keep evolving with incredible speed. And one of the inputs of the rapid growth was the coronavirus pandemic's consequences, which still influence and reshape various aspects of people's daily lives, and especially the working sphere. So that's why we can say that 2020 was a fresh start for many people, because they were staying at home for a long time. And right now, this year, please, next slide, please. Okay. We carried out research of the most important and of the most popular profession or specialist who can work offline, who can work at home, whose job is very well paid. And as you know, next slide, please. Okay, at our university we have the great program of dual diploma of the just one diploma, which is called International Marketing Negotiation and Public Relations PR. And actually I'm very proud to be the graduate of this program. But right now I decided to study this program from the point of view, the practical base, the theoretical base. Next slide, please. Okay, as you know, our president during the International Conference of Artificial Intelligence and Data Analysis draws attention to the problem of digitalization. That we are not ready to work online. Our courses are not well prepared for our reality. So that's why we aimed to analyze the recent research conducted by different magazines and different websites such as Forbes, Glassdoor, Indeed, even Haharu, RBK, and etc. And we found out that the Virginia's demand for such professions as a product manager, a strategy manager, a product marketing manager, and PR. Next slide, please. And as you can see, we carried out a comparative analysis and we compared our country, the US and the UK. We started from 2018 when our life was just usual, where we didn't face any difficulties and problems and such a problem as coronavirus. You see that the most popular, you see the numbers here in these tables. So the most popular was software specialist, business development manager in Russia, and system admin. We had no idea, we weren't very interested in these jobs such as marketing specialist or marketing manager who can develop or create or promote different Instagram accounts, Facebook accounts, who can sell different products, even educational products. When in the US and in the UK, as you can see, these positions, these jobs were and are still
We can't hear you. We're terribly sorry. Alexander, what happened? Can anyone hear Alexander?
Okay, yeah,
No.
something happened here. I'm sorry, I know something happened with the internet connection. I'm sorry.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Okay, great. Next slide, please. Okay, so we decided to study different programs which somehow connected with PR, management, and communication. And you know that in our country, the most prestigious universities are MGU University, RUDN, SPBGU, and RANEPA, and MGIMO, and etc. And there we found actually a big variety of these programs, but as I'm a graduate from our university, I decided to develop our program, to let our program be more available for our university and attract more students, because right now we're faced with difficulties as one of the first difficulties, as this program is very expensive for our future master students. So that's why we carried out SWOT analysis of this program. As you can see, speaking about opportunities, yes. Speaking about, can you move to the slide back, please? Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. This program, we analyzed the program of this discipline, and we can point out that the developing universal competencies and professional competencies are described in detail, and from the theoretical point of view. From the practical point of view, yes, I also saw it when I was studying. Quantity of lectures and seminars, yes, perfect quantity, because during 1 week you have 2 lectures, 2 seminars, and you can have different projects, what is also great from the practical point of view. Yes. And from the weaknesses, as for me, and from the SWOT analysis, the most weak position of this discipline, that it's the last semester of the studying. As you can see, different students, they are preparing their thesis, and they don't have that much time to have an internship in different companies, just to implement their new skills into work. Yes, and one of the most, it's not an advantage, probably it's a point to discuss, to think about, is lack of practical oriented base. So let's move on. And as opportunities, we have here different marketing strategies that our Institute of Foreign Languages develops every day to attract a variety of students. And also there are a lot of different trainings for professors, which are held by Cambridge University. So also it's a perfect opportunity to develop, to study, not only for students, but also for professors. Yes, and let's move on. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, next slide, please. Yes, so I have analyzed the list of the theoretical and methodological base of this discipline. And we found out that there are a lot of Russian-based literature books. It's great when students can learn more about the structure, the history of this discipline, but we are preparing our master students to work within this sphere. So that's why I have chosen practically based books. The idea is students can read the development of any companies. They can start with the Starbucks, how they promote their products, how they develop the strategy of marketing. Yes, and after, according to this book, yeah, it's an autobiographical book, they can make different SWOT analysis, marketing mix analysis, or develop different loyalty programs. Why I'm speaking about exactly practically based literature, because if I compare this program we have at our university, this program of dual diploma, I can say that there are a lot of practically based tasks in France, and the professors, they not only work at university, they actually work in different in commercials, actually in different stores, and they can share with you, for example, different loyalty programs, new loyalty program for example, for 2022. Yes, you can touch this, information, and that's why those students, they have an opportunity, they have a real opportunity to develop their practical skills. Speaking about our students, we have sometimes lack of opportunity, and our internships sometimes are very easy for us, and they concern only paperwork. So there is no imagination and there is no practical base. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, great. So right now I just show you one of the examples. How can we work with the case or practical base book? For example, as you can see right now, we're going to discuss the marketing mix of one of the most famous retail company, IKEA. Yeah, this company, of course, is very successful, and if our students read the whole book and highlight the main important ideas of the development, they can actually make this marketing mix, and they can highlight the idea of the product. As you can see that they provide different types of outdoor furniture, baby and children products, eating products, different desks, mirrors, and etc. Yes, and its products are perceived to be of higher quality, yeah, than that of competitors, and that's the idea that our students have to highlight, have to see. And next, speaking about the price, their pricing products should be done keeping in mind the list price or competitive price, different terms of sales, and IKEA provides low prices and good quality product by standardizing its product range, yeah, seeking low cost manufacturers and selling furniture in high volume globally. So let's move on to the next slide. And speaking about place, it refers to the easy availability of the products in the target market. And speaking about promotions, I think that here IKEA was the first place, because they individualize different promotions according to the countries. For example, as you can see here in front of you, there is a photo. It's for the opening of a Brooklyn store. They built 400 square meter studio apartment furnished with IKEA stuff, so people could enter this box and view and show the apartment inside. Also, for example, in Australia, IKEA has come up with an amusing Valentine's Day offer, so they can offer a free crib for babies born 9 months from the St. Valentine's Day. So, that's the idea that our students can collect different ideas or methods of promoting products, and that they can use in the future. And I hope that it was very interesting for you to find out about this idea. Thank you very much for listening. I'm happy to answer your questions.
All right, thank you so much. And I have a question for Alexander. Alexander, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. Yes.
A quick question, very quick question. That is, I saw the SWOT analysis of you that you using an example of educational program, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, for PE students, for PR students. But
for PR students,
for PR students, how could the school to solve the internship problem?
So the internship problem. So I can see that speaking about my internship, they can offer our students an internship in startup programs, startup projects. They won't be that well paid, of course, but they can actually do something for real. They can create, for example, a strategy for months of developing the Instagram page, and they will see their results. So, and these results will be well paid. And of course, we're speaking about experience. Our students, they are not interested just to study language. They're studying language in PR sphere. So that's the idea. And I think that for our students, it won't be that problem if they will register on different international websites where there are a lot of startup projects and companies, as French students did in Lille Catholic University. So I think we can try. We can try.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions, everybody?
No, I can't see.
Okay.
Thank you, Alexandra.
Thank you, everybody. And many thanks to the 8 researchers today to contribute their research results with everybody. And we really had a very good time. Personally, really, I want to compare myself when I'm doing my research work. I'm just like a paper plane. As a paper plane, I have no energy to force me forward. Only if some wind is coming under my wings. So everybody, you are my wings. The wind under my wings, you are the one. Thank you so much for supporting each other, being here and discuss our research topics and discuss what we found in our working experience. I think today the time is so limited, but every single words we exchange here is so valuable for our future research work. And thank you, Ms. Module, especially because she has shared with us a very rewarding meeting online, and we could, if you're interested in that, please follow us to join that meeting. And thank you, everybody, and let's call it a day, and thank you for sharing your research ideas with everybody else. It's amazing. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.